Joining us now to talk about whether Disney could be held responsible for this attack is CBS News legal analyst Rikki Klieman. Rikki, good to see you.
Good to see you.
You heard, Rikki, from Mark there, and we also spoke to a spokesperson for the sheriff's office earlier this morning. There was just a sign that said no swimming. Now, you grew up in Florida, I grew up in Florida. We know that there are gators everywhere, but if you're from Nebraska and you don't know that area is infested with alligators, can Disney be held accountable?
Perhaps. And I hate to say it in that lawyer language. It depends. Disney is not an insurer. When you go somewhere, whether it's a hotel, a resort, a cruise ship, they are not insurers of your safety. While saying that, they do have to enter into reasonable means to keep you safe. So Disney, as we know, has a really very good track record on safety. They have been sued in the past, but they certainly have not been sued, to my knowledge, about an alligator in this lagoon. So how much notice does Disney have that there are alligators in this lagoon that would get that close to a body on the shore? Well, we know now. We've heard there were at least 5, but did we know then? So although they can be sued, it doesn't necessarily mean that the lawsuit will be successful. Disney has to just be reasonable about what is foreseeable. Looking at Mark's statement, and I think it's well taken, that it's one thing to say no swimming. It's another thing to say beware of alligators, but you're in a place of pleasure. Was that necessary? It may be necessary now. Was it necessary then? Unfortunately, no.
So if you're a Disney attorney this morning, what do you do? I mean, obviously there are certain legal things you run through as to whether you're liable or not, but then there's another aspect of the PR to it. When you are a mom and you spend a lot of money to go to Disney World and stay at one of these resorts, there's the PR aspect, even though if they're not legally liable, whether they are or aren't. I'm not going to litigate it today, but if you're Disney, what do you do?
Well, I think Disney has to use all of its resources of people. That is, the person in the legal hat, the person in the PR hat, the person in the crisis management hat. Bring them all in and say, how are we going to look at it? Ultimately, the lawyer would say, well, we just wait and see if there's a lawsuit, and/or we look at subsequent remedial measures. Perhaps we should reevaluate these signs for the future, because now we are on notice. But the lawyer, who was also a crisis management and a PR person, says, you know, it might be really appropriate when a certain amount of time has passed for this family to have its own private time of mourning, to get in touch with the family directly and see if we can try to come to some agreement without a lawsuit being filed.
I mean, you know, when we're looking at this body of water, as we look at an aerial shot there, it is humongous. And I take it that as we spoke to a wildlife expert, they said that you would have to post alligator warning signs everywhere. But given that Disney is a business, and when you and I or others go into, for example, national parks where we know that there might be bears, or we're on beaches, public beaches, where we know that there might be predators in the oceans, there are usually signs posted there. There are usually signs of deer crossing so that you don't ram your car or you don't speed down a highway. So I wonder if there's something legally to be considered, given that Disney is a business, and these other instances that we're talking about are public lands.
Well, I think that legally, it probably is more PR-wise / legally, that you have to look at now you're on notice and what is the future. And you cannot afford for this to ever happen again as a business to which the public have a right of access when they pay their ticket and come for pleasure and fun and families. They probably are well advised to do something, even if it's in your ticket, that says that at the water's edge that you should not go in and that there have been alligators seen at the park. Probably going to err on the side of caution of putting up signs about alligators makes some sense. But then, do you invite a lawsuit somewhere else if heaven forbid another alligator comes up at another point, and that's the point where you don't have a sign. These are business decisions, Vlad, as much as they are legal decisions.
And to be fair, this is very rare. I mean, clearly a lot of people are interested in this story because it's a little 2-year-old boy, but this is my first recollection of something like this happening.
Of course, and that's
so,
why they say it's not foreseeable and they're not an insurer.
Right.
And I'm sure that Disney has its own sorrow in addition to its own business misgivings today.
Absolutely.
It's a rough week for Disney with the Orlando shooting and this and the launch of Shanghai Disney. It's supposed to be a great week for them this week. Thank you, Rikki, very much for joining us.
Thank you both.